Mind in its purest play is like some bat that beats about in caverns all alone, contriving by a kind of senseless wit not to conclude against a wall of stone. It has no need to falter or explore. Darkly it knows what obstacles are there, and so many weave and flitter, dip and soar, in perfect courses through the blackest air. And has this simile a like perfection? The mind is like a bat, precisely, save that in the very happiest intellection a graceful air may correct the cave. And that was the poem Mind by Richard Wilbur.
You know, I often grow discouraged as of late. I kind of feel like I've been working in vain. I've been striving in vain. And it's a silly thought, I'll admit. But I guess because it's a possibility, it's always hanging there, haunting me. It's looming above, waiting for its realization, waiting to make its mark upon me. That I'll realize it was all in vain. But I remember the start of a Lovecraft story, talking about he was defending weird fiction. I think it was called The Silver Key, the story is called. And he starts out talking about how this character, I think it's from the perspective of the character in the story, how he's waken up from his dreaming, and he's let the world of learned philosophers pervert his belief in the authenticity of dreams, and he let this prejudice for the material over the immaterial to dominate him and his perception, so he could no longer value dreams, that they became less real through his racinations, and so he could no longer truly enjoy them as he once did. And then the story goes on how he tries to immerse himself in the world, he tries to take up religion, and he becomes a critic of religion, and he also becomes a critic of atheism. He really becomes a critic of everything but weird fiction, because weird fiction is the heart and soul, is more real than anything he thinks, or more worth realness, worthy, more worthy, because at the end of the day, it's kind of this dissolution of the self, this death, of destruction. And before it, all human struggles are vain, all worldly temporal actions are vain, and yet there was still some kind of meaning to be found in these dreams, and in consequence in weird fiction, I guess. And I think about that maybe I'll make something that I think is worth more than anything, that even somehow transcends death in its worth. Not in any kind of spiritual way, but simply something that becomes so real to me that it's realer than death could ever be. That's, I think, a pleasant idea.
To one who is long in city pent, 'tis very sweet to look into the fair, an open face of heaven, to breathe a prayer, full in the smile of the blue firmament, who is more happy when, with heart's content, fatigued he sinks into some pleasant lair of wavy grass, and reads a debonair and gentle tale of love and languishment, returning home at evening with an ear catching the notes of Philomel, an eye watching the sailing cloudlet's bright career. He mourns that day so soon has glided by, even like the passage of an angel's tear that falls through the clear ether silently.
That was a sonnet by Keats. I've been reading some of Lovecraft's short stories recently, and it gave me an idea for an essay. The essay was to be an exposition on my conception of the theme of the cosmic. However, I fear I've set my aims too high, and have only created another challenge that will daunt me, and then molder as a project I was not able enough to complete at the time, perhaps to eventually be picked up in the future by a bored future me who is more skilled and able. But what really is the cosmic? Well, it's about very abstract concepts like time and space, except these are taken to their extreme and compared against man. See, think of the magnitude of the universe in infinity. Take for example one of those videos where they zoom out from some position on Earth and then show the planet, then the solar system, then what comes after the solar system like a nebula or the universe, and they just keep zooming out and zooming out and zooming out to give the audience a perspective on the sheer magnitude of everything and how infinitesimal we humans are. There's also time. Written history is only so old, a few thousand years maybe, and anatomically correct humanity is only so old as well, something like 300,000 years. We, Homo sapiens, are a relatively recent addition to the Earth, and there are plenty of species much older than us. For instance, a fact that is supposed to shake our assumptions of the world: sharks are apparently older than trees. There's also the fact how life isn't really all that old, and just how fathomlessly ancient the universe really is. The cosmic is meant to impress you, and leave you awestruck and maybe even trembling at how infinitesimal and short your life is. Cosmic horror then follows that there are civilizations that flourished and crumbled and laid as ruins for eons before anatomically correct man walked the earth. That there are ancient gods who are contemporaries with the darkness of the void that existed before light came to the universe. But I feel all that as an explanation isn't nearly clever or comprehensive enough. I fail to grasp its essence and put it to words. I find it all very galling